Hi, my name is Taylor Owens, and this is Evidence-Based Interventions for Cyberbullying amongst Teenagers in the United States. Cyberbullying is a steadily increasing issue. According to a 2023 survey of the teens surveyed, 26.5% of them reported experiencing cyberbullying within the last 30 days. So what is cyberbullying exactly? Cyberbullying is the use of technology to harass, threaten, embarrass, or target another person. Examples of this could be online threats, being mean or aggressive via text, tweet, post, message, or posting someone's personal information or content without their consent. Cyberbullying can be based on several characteristics such as gender, gender identity, religion, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, physical appearance, disability status, migrant status, and many more. So who is affected by cyberbullying? According to a 2023 survey, teens identifying as female were more likely to be cyberbullied at some point compared to teens identifying as male. 15 to 17 was the group most likely to be experiencing cyberbullying, according to BrightPath. Girls are more likely to be cyberbullied for their appearance rather than boys. And white teens are more likely to experience cyberbullying versus Black and Hispanic. However, Black teens were the most likely to be cyberbullied specifically because of their race out of these three groups. LGBTQ students are also at a higher risk to be cyberbullied compared to their heterosexual counterparts. So statistics on ethnicities experiencing cyberbullying vary depending on which source. So this is just another look at the rates at which ethnicities experience cyberbullying. According to this 2021 survey, American Indians or Alaska Natives have the highest rate, followed closely by white people. So this is some additional statistics regarding cyberbullying rates by sexual orientation and gender. This was done in 2020. The red bar is depicting cases of school bullying in person in the last 30 days, and the blue bar is depicting cases of cyberbullying within the last 30 days. So as you can see, students identifying as trans have the highest rate of cyberbullying within the last 30 days, followed by non-heterosexual males, and then non-heterosexual females, and then heterosexual males, and lastly, heterosexual females. So, impact. Cyberbullying is a very serious issue that is resulting in severe consequences for the teens of the U.S. today. Teens who report having experienced cyberbullying report it being a major problem for people their age. According to a 2023 study, Black students who experienced cyberbullying faced a 91% increased risk of attempting suicide. A 2021 study found that LGBTQ students were 3 times as likely to attempt suicide. It was found that there was a strong correlation between cyberbullying and PTSD symptoms, so it's now being looked at as being put in the DSM. In 2023, 19% of students reported having to stay home due to experiencing cyberbullying at some point because it was so serious to them. Many teens that report being victims of cyberbullying also report feelings of sadness, hopelessness, depression, and a 2014 study found that there is a significant relationship between cyber victimization and depression. Okay, so my answerable question is, which evidence-based interventions can best address cyberbullying among teenagers in a school setting, and how do they do so? So the first intervention I looked at was the OES Bullying Prevention Program, OBPP, which is a evidence-based intervention that focuses on school climate, increasing awareness, and providing structured interventions for bullying. So OBPP does this by following strict implementation guidelines. So a school, when they are implementing OBPP, they will be assigned a consultant who will oversee all of this and ensure fidelity to the program. And so it goes as follows. School environment. It relies on support from every single staff member throughout the school, teachers, admin, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, any person that is going to interact with the students needs to be on board and buying in and trained in OBPP. 2, assessment. OBPP has its own questionnaire that it administers to assess the problem in full. So it looks at common types of bullying occurring, so cyberbullying, discrimination, any other, all the types. And it also looks at hotspots within the school, so the cafeteria, stairwells, anywhere that kids are being bullying. It's looking at the hotspots to determine where it's happening the most so that we can put staff in place and prevent those going forward. OBPP also requires that a committee be created, the Bullying Prevention Coordinating Committee, and this is formed with various stakeholders, teachers, admin staff, parents, again, anyone who's going to interact and is a part of the stakeholder group anyway. And that group will oversee all bullying prevention activities. So if they're hosting events, if they're going to be the ones to look at, is this working? How can we fix any or address any areas where it's not? All staff need to be trained in bullying prevention. So there is a more intensive initial training for the Bullying Prevention Coordinating Committee members. They get their own training, but every single staff is going to have the 6 hours of initial training, and then everyone will be expected to participate in monthly staffing discussion groups to ensure that the program is working and it's going smoothly. The next step is to establish and enforce bullying policies. Whether the school already has them in place or not, OBPP just encourages that staff stick to them and they be consistent throughout. OBPP then encourages the engagement of students in conversations about bullying, so allowing students to have a voice, holding regular meetings within class about it, just having open discussion around bullying. As I mentioned earlier, we're also increasing supervision in the hotspots, so just essentially taking away those opportunities for bullying to occur. Intervening consistently and appropriately. So like I said above with the enforcing policies, we just want to make sure that all of the staff is intervening the same way every single time so that students have a consistent expectation for how they're supposed to engage, and also consistency in discipline when youth aren't following the established policies. Garnering parent support. So we also want to engage parents here, and OBPP believes that parents can make this transition easier if they're having the same expectations at home, essentially, or at least are being made aware what the school is doing so they can support the implementation. Providing ongoing support, like I mentioned initially, OBPP provides a consultant technician to ensure that the schools are implementing the program with fidelity. And continuing efforts over time. OBPP encourages schools to continue their efforts and not put an end date on bullying prevention because it takes time to change a school culture. So, the effectiveness of the OLEAS bullying prevention program, overall, they did seem like an effective program. However, when the study was, there was a study conducted in 2007 that actually evaluated OBPP across Washington schools, and it found that it did have some positive effects, but it was primarily for white students and was not really relevant for students of any other race or ethnic background. So the study ultimately recommended further research into this specifically on how this program how effective this is with other races and ethnicities, since this was obviously limited to only 3 schools. Another study in 2018, also evaluating effectiveness. This one did so looking at grades 3 through 11 in 95 schools across the United States. Again, this did look like an effective program. However, it was more effective in the younger grades and ages. It didn't seem to have much effect once we got to grades 8 and above, and there was absolutely no impact with grade 11. This study also found overall weaker program effects for Black and Hispanic students than among white students. The second intervention I looked at was cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is a structured school-based intervention aimed at fostering positive peer relationships and supportive school environments. So it does so by engaging students to be collaborative with one another in their learning experiences. It's increasing positive relationships among youth and their peers, reinforcing empathy, communication, strengthening connections. There's also limited research to suggest that it can help with reducing engagement in risky behaviors such as alcohol use. So it creates this environment by utilizing several teaching methods, like reciprocal teaching, peer tutoring, the jigsaw method, which is where students create small groups and each member becomes an expert on one piece of a part of a selected topic, and then they all come together and share what they've learned to get the full understanding. And other methods where they work together to maximize another's learning. So essentially they're just having students work together more and engage more and learn more about one another, which increases positive relationships overall. So, looking at the effectiveness of this program, it overall seemed to be pretty effective. This was implemented at 15 Pacific Northwest middle schools, and when this was evaluated in 2018, they found significant reduction in bullying, victimization, and perceived stress for marginalized students, as well as reduced emotional problems and enhanced relatedness for the entire student body. They also found that it had an impact on the overall school climate, that it was more friendly and welcoming. And another pro about this is that this is not a like school-wide campaign or curriculum that needs everyone's engagement like the previous intervention. So it's highlighted as being more practical, essentially, easier to implement because you're implementing smaller change, and it's utilizing less resources, while still seeming to make a big change within school culture. So the third intervention I looked at was digital citizenship, and this is a fairly new concept and program. So what this is a curriculum that helps students understand online safety, how to responsibly use social media, and the consequences of cyberbullying. I looked at Common Sense's program specifically, but there are a couple out there. And Common Sense actually breaks it down for different topics by grade. And so I included the ones for high school here as I'm looking at teenagers. So a few of those topics, like I have listed, protecting your online reputation, acting with empathy online, risky relationships, privacy risks, confirmation bias, digital footprint, countering hate speech, the impacts, future impacts of digital footprint. So I talked about, how it can impact your future job offers, code switching, disinhibition leading to cyberbullying, which that was new to me. This concept of people feeling freer or just having the ability to be or say whatever you want online, and how that leads to cyberbullying. And being intentional about your digital footprint. So just putting things out there, like what you want people to know about you, and being purposeful with that. Health effects of screen time, communicating with civility, and the consequences of online hate speech. So they're really just education around the dangers, but also how we can use social media and the internet in a positive way. So, unfortunately, because this is such a new topic, there is really limited research around it. I only found 2 studies so far, and one was specific to middle school, so grades 4 through 6 across 14 U.S. schools, and they actually found that there was no impact on students' self-reported cyberbullying behaviors, like rude comments, saying something, spreading rumors. But they did find that there was an increased knowledge of safety concepts, so I guess kids are a little more aware of what they are doing online after taking the education. But it ultimately had no impact on cyberbullying. And then a 2022 study, this was done with youth in Peru, and it found limited evidence that digital citizen programs have any effect on promoting positive online experiences or conflict resolution skills. Okay, this is my case study. I'm going to try and speed through this because I still have a few more slides to go through. But this is my case study. Emma Rodriguez, 14, 9th grade. She's Hispanic and has always been proud of her heritage, speaks both languages, cooks with her grandma, celebrates holidays, but then starts to experience bullying at school. They start making remarks, telling her to go back to Mexico, and then she starts getting some online harassment. Some kids make a private chat where they're spreading hateful messages, making jokes about calling ICE, posting racist memes, and even tag her in offensive videos stereotyping Hispanic people. She tries to brush it off, but the bullying intensifies. People are whispering when she walks by, classmates are laughing at her at lunch, and the hurtful comments make her question whether she should hide parts of her identity just to fit in. So for Emma's situation specifically, I chose to go with cooperative learning, and comparing and contrasting all of them. While OLWEA's bullying prevention program has some data to support being an effective intervention, it specifically lacks effectiveness among Black and Hispanic populations, and it's less effective when students are beyond 8th grade. It also is pretty intensive to implement, needing to train all of the staff in the school, anyone that's going to interact with the students, as well as requiring oversight to ensure fidelity. And then digital citizenship obviously has such a lack of research to support being an effective intervention. Since it's so new, only a couple studies have been done, and the studies that have been done doesn't support it being an effective intervention, unfortunately. And it does support being a positive education tool in some areas, but not much for an intervention. And cooperative learning, it increases positive relationships, supportive community, especially among marginalized students. Much less resources are needed to implement this program, and it is also most effective between the ages of 12 to 14. So, like I said, I would choose cooperative learning for Emma's situation to create a more supportive environment among her peers and increase her positive relationships at school, as well as impact the entire school climate overall, make it a more positive place. To do so, the MTSS team would likely need to start by assessing the readiness of the school and the needs to get this started. So whether they do that by adding bullying questions to climate surveys or implementing a survey specifically for this, to identify the needs, but that would be the starting point. And then the MTSS team would then work to gain support among teachers and admin staff, which I did list as one of my barriers. There might be some, pushback here on wanting to alter their current practices, and take the training being provided and implementing it. So this intervention would be impacted without complete staff buy-in. So that would be one barrier to mitigate. But they could do this by providing the training surrounding cooperative learning, the principles, and also provide ongoing support, whether that be monthly workshops or check-ins, to just make sure it's running smoothly, and be there to offer support to the teachers directly implementing it with the students. Okay, progress monitoring. The MTSS team would review school climate surveys, or the survey that I mentioned in the previous slide. If they implemented a survey specific to cyberbullying, they'd be reviewing that. To see if rates are decreasing, they could survey teachers and other staff to see if they're receiving less reports of cyberbullying from students. They could also look at discipline records specific to incidences of bullying and cyberbullying to see if rates are decreasing there. And after all of this is reviewed and compiled, a report would be done to present to stakeholders to support the need for to continue implementing this program and look at which areas could be better executed going forward. This is vital to providing transparent data and to allow constructive feedback. And these are my references. Thank you.